How's it going out there, everyone? Welcome back here to a Saturday night. It is the Earthmaster out here, about 8:54 p.m. California time. November 2nd, 2024 is the date. A lot of activity stirring up out here across the globe right now, including a 3.7 earthquake on the New Madrid Seismic Zone of all places here. Got a little shaking going on around Still, Missouri. Of course, this area seen a series of large earthquakes back in the early 1800s, 1811, 1812. Seen a handful of 7.0 earthquakes out there. So we're looking at over 200 years of built-up strain since those large earthquakes struck out there. So it potentially could be ramping up here for some future large-scale activity. 3.7 earthquake around Still, Missouri, right there in that fault system there called the New Madrid Seismic Zone. Let's see if anybody felt this earthquake out here. Of course, east of the Rockies here, the type of rock out there is, the earthquake activity is felt on a broader scale. So these little three-pointers out there can be felt at a considerable distance. Quite a few folks reporting some activity there around the Missouri area, Tennessee, Kentucky, Illinois. Of course, that New Madrid Seismic Zone there kind of harbors or borders quite a few states there in that area. So we'll have to watch that. Definitely some interesting activity out there. I would say that's one of the more bigger quakes than I've seen out here in a little while. Looking at the last 30 days of earthquake activity out here, as you can see, a handful of twos and some ones, but today's 3.7, or tonight's 3.7, that is, 7.2 miles deep here into the area of the New Madrid Seismic Zone. Definitely keep an eye on that. Some further activity up here around the Idaho area as well, with a three-pointer coming in near Stanley, Idaho. That's at the northern end here of the Sawtooth Fault Range here. Handful of earthquakes coming into that region, it looks like. Across Southern California, well, getting some further movement out here across the southern portion of the state. Nothing too big. Looks like our 2.6 here south of the border, along with a 3.8 earlier this afternoon. It looks like some type of seismic swarm going on there across the Baja California area. We'll watch for that. Looks like they've upgraded that there to 3.8. We'll double check that. We'll verify that magnitude here before the end of this update. But Southern California, a handful of smaller quakes out there. Nothing big going on. No unusual activity to note for now across the area. Up here in northern Nevada, outside of Lovelock, Nevada, 3.2 coming in earlier this afternoon as well. Northern California, pretty quiet. Not a whole lot going on there through the area of the Cascadia. Same for Washington area as well. Let's give a quick glance here at the tremor map tonight, see what we have for Cascadia tremor, which shows about 58 epicenters here of tremor activity. Vancouver Island Range and underneath the Oregon region here, but it's generally just some light numbers there in terms of tremor. Another area down here showing some elevated movement is New Zealand, just off the coast here of the North Island area into the Bay of Plenty, I should say, underneath this area into the subduction zone, the northern edge here of the Hikurangi subduction zone of 4.6, 86 miles deep. Goodness, got some interesting activity out there. And of course, around the Loihi Seamount, I guess is the correct pronunciation, while that formerly known as the Loihi Seamount. It's something else now. It's going to take me a little while to correctly manage that new name for this area, but goodness, they got a swarm of activity out here. And the USGS did put out a notification here on this activity. Let me see if I can find that here real quick. For the seamount that's been showing quite a bit of elevated earthquake activity here in the last 24 hours. Quite a bit. HVO, here we go. This is put out today, 1 p.m. Hawaii time there. This is the new word for the formerly Loihi Seamount. I don't want to slaughter that, so I'm going to leave that here for you guys to read. Offshore to the southeast of the island of Hawaii, entered a period of heightened seismic unrest yesterday. We got roughly about 32 events of larger than magnitude 2 and 2 events greater than magnitude 4. Now, back in 1996, they had a decent earthquake swarm out here. along with, I guess, an eruption as well. Um, so it's hard to say exactly, what's going to take place here, but it may be related to the movement of magma beneath this area. Kind of makes sense, all right. Prior swarms related to probable eruptions at the volcano have consisted of thousands of earthquakes over days to weeks. So this could be turning into one of those events here where we're going to have to watch it. The largest magnitude here is going to be that 4.3 earlier this afternoon. A handful of fours in there. So something to watch, right? It's been a little while since we've seen any elevated seismic activity out here across the seamount area. But if you can, it makes sense here. It's a hot spot. Pacific Plate's been moving a lot. So as the Pacific Plate moves off to the northwest, it's going to adjust down here accordingly to create new islands. And it'll probably happen in 100,000 years or so before it breaches the surface of the ocean water there, but it could be sooner, depending on how much of the eruption activity takes place here in the future. But decent earthquake swarms strike in that area today. Let's see what else we have out here across the planet. There's activity in New Zealand, big time swarm there, Hawaii. Some older movement quakes here across the Aleutian Trench, it looks like. Some newer activity, though, back here across the area. One of the latest quakes, much closer here to this area of concern, 3.4 earlier this afternoon. And this is just one region here that really hasn't seen any large-scale movement in a little while compared to historical data out here across the rest of the Aleutian Trench. So I'm just kind of watching that. This is one of the newest quakes here out of that sequence of events there. Some movement across Iceland as well, 4.5 here. It's stirring things up out here across the area. We haven't checked out Iceland in a little while, so let's go see what's going on here across the area of Iceland, where it's been a little while since the eruption, right? Believe that stopped back in, when was that? Almost September? Somewhere around there. There's the elevated inflation charts here showing up vertical displacement. Each vertical displacement maximizing until an eruption, and then we get the drop here, and then a repeat, rinse and repeat cycle. Here we are right now in November, the green dot. We're pretty much matched as compared to other eruptions, except for the most recent one. So things are it's happening. It's just another eruption is here, soon, going to happen soon. Based on the new assessment of the magma accumulation, it can be expected that the probability of a new magma flow and even an eruption at the end of November will increase. So, yeah, definitely looking at maybe, another eruption here soon in the area. It's been an ongoing cycle out there. 3.7. I want to see if any other folks felt it here out in the area. A few more reports coming in on a broad scale thing. This is what I'm talking about when I say that even these little 3-pointers can be felt hundreds of miles away. We got a couple folks outside the epicenter area reporting some shaking out there. Mainly, it just looks like some light to weak shaking, but still, it was a felt earthquake, and it's in the the New Madrid Seismic Zone. That's a big time deal. 200 and something years of built up slip rate. I can't remember exactly what the slip rate is on this, but it's not quite as great as the San Andreas fault. The plate boundary, it's a little bit, actually a lot less, but still, these earthquakes give us a reminder here that there'll be some big earthquakes here in the future. Like I say, I don't know if there's enough strain built up out here for some more 7s or not, but magnitude, mid 7 out here across this area would completely devastate a lot of the region. You got Little Rock down here, Memphis, Jonesboro, a lot of big-time cities. Nashville just sits over here to the east. And that 7.5 out here would be a big deal. But it's going to happen. We've built so much of our infrastructure, our network in those couple hundred years since that big earthquake, and same for California. But we're living in the future where earthquakes are going to start hitting again. Going to start ramping up, I feel. Texas area, some oil fields out there getting hit. Really nothing major going on there. Let's check out Yellowstone here real quick, see what we have for the latest data. Audio working. Audio, yes, we're still working. I'm not really seeing anything of any major activity. In fact, anything of minor activity. So pretty quiet out there across Yellowstone for now. Not a whole lot changing out here across the Middle America Trench, South America area, mostly 2s and 3s. Some 4s in there, but that's very common. We'll watch Southern California here. It's been a little quiet in terms of felt earthquake activity here in the last couple days, but a little seismic swarm there in the Baja California area could be a little indicator that we'll see some increasing movement up here in this area of the plate boundary soon. Maybe even tonight across this region. Just mainly small microquakes out here. Really nothing of any major interest. A little bit of clustering going on here towards the Bay Area. That's going to be on the San Andreas Fault, and then one just off of it in between the Hayward Fault and the San Andreas Fault. So a little bit of small movement, but movement nonetheless here across that area. There's that 4.6. Let me see what we got here for the GeoNet servers as we check out the earthquake map there from the New Zealand folks. They're reporting that earthquake is a 4.9 2 hours ago. Weak earthquake. 65 reports coming in there, mainly from North Island area. Still a little under the weather, so you're going to have to bear with me here. I can't shake it. Aside from that, let's see what we've got here for the earthquake drums across New Zealand. There's that 4.9 showing up quite nicely. A couple other smaller quakes in there around North Island, it looks like. But there's another one about 12 hours ago. Looks a little bit closer to the South Island area, but nothing big happening there for now. Goodness, I'm going to have to take a cough drop here just to finish this. I've had this cough here for about as long as we've had this unusual proton event here. I find this a little odd here that we've been bombarded here with protons for almost a week straight now, and we haven't really had any large flares here in the last couple days, at least as far as Earth directed. When we see X flare activity, we do see elevated proton events for a day or two and then they go away, but this here is actually lasting for a little bit longer than normal, and I'm not 100% certain exactly why, because we haven't seen a whole lot of flaring activity. Flaring right now, though, but let's see what that is. A little C flare, C5.7 from, looks like that's going to be 3881, a newer sunspot, actually the newest sunspot out here, this region right here. It's actually grown quite a bit, so that may be an area to watch. Still got this area of concern, and over here across the southwestern quadrant of the sun, a couple newer sunspots coming around the bend. I guess we'll watch that and see how things jump into play there. Let's take a look here and see what else is going on. Got a 5.7 coming in right now into the South America area. Thank you there, baby. Missy Mimi's brought me some water.
How's it going, guys?
Thank you. So, trying to keep my voice under control. .7 right now. South America area. Looks like underneath Argentina, I suppose. Let's see here. Pretty deep earthquake. 203 kilometers deep. Goodness, that is a deep one. Mendoza, Argentina, 4 minutes ago. Let's back out and see what these guys are reporting. There's that earthquake, the Peru-Chile Trench, super deep into that area, 200 kilometers. Have not been reviewed by seismologists yet, so this could get downgraded, could get upgraded. It is showing up there on the Chile station, on that seismograph station right there, so hard to say exactly, though, how big this is going to turn out to be. But things are starting to pick up out here for sure. All right, so let's see. Flare threat Still elevated here at about 35% chance here for an X flare. M flare at 75. C flare around 99% chance or so. No major auroras in the forecast there for now, folks. And the moon, if you can find it, it's probably getting closer to a new moon. Well, it says 1%. Be lucky if you can find that. Anyway, yeah, time change tonight, right? Tonight's Saturday night. So we got to fall back 1 hour. So it's 9 o'clock here. When I go to bed at 11, it'll be 10 o'clock. So maybe I'll just go to sleep around midnight and go to bed at 11. Pretty cool. I don't mind the hour of extra sleep, that's for sure. Now, if you're working tonight, and you're working 12-hour shifts, and that means you're going to be working a 13-hour shift. I used to do that for quite a while. Glad I'm not doing that anymore. Goodness. I think that's wrong. I worked a job for about 12 years here doing 12-hour rotating shifts, and it was just horrible on the mind, on the body. Not good. Yeah, 3.7. Goodness. That is crazy. So, real quick here, let me show you guys here while we're on the topic of that. We're gonna see how many earthquakes have struck out here. I'm gonna go 3.5 and above. We're gonna check out those earthquakes back in 1800 and show you guys the sequence of events that popped out here. Had bells ringing, I guess, in New York. So that was, it just goes to show you how powerful these earthquakes can happen out here. These intraplate quakes. All right. Hopefully I didn't overload it here. Oh, not too bad. 176 earthquakes. 3.7, the latest one today. Looks like earlier this year, back in May, we had a 3.8, same area. 3.8 back in December of last year. 4-pointer back in 2021. Again, all these little quakes here just go to show you that this fault system is still very much alive. Now, there we go. I was going to say here, not for sure what's going on with this USGS map, but it's acting a little fishy. I was going to say there should have been some more 7s than that. So as you can see there, 1811, 1812, a series of large earthquakes struck back here, with the largest being estimated about 7.5. And something like that today would be completely crazy. We would feel that all over the place out here across the eastern portion of the country and do a lot of damage. 6.3, 1812. I'm trying to see when the most recent, at least decent large one took place here. 1843, 6.3. 1895, there was a 5.8. 5.3 back in 1968. That's even a decent sized earthquake up in Illinois, Norris City area. 5.1, 1917. So yeah, there's a lot of time that has passed in some of these large quakes here. So it's just coming up on a period of, and similar to California too. I think we're coming on to a period of elevated earthquake activity here, in which anything can happen at any given time here in terms of larger quake activity. Nothing being reported yet on that earthquake down south from the USGS. Looks like they downgraded it a little bit there to 5.5, but who knows? I mean, it could be a little bit larger, could be a little bit less. I don't think it's anything larger than 5.5, because once you start getting up in the 6.0 range, then you'll start seeing it, the P wave slightly, but still showing up here on some seismograph stations out here around the globe, which I'm really not seeing anything. A little spike there on Petrolia. That was prior to the Chile movement. That's probably going to be a little spike of an earthquake up here, but nothing showing up on the USGS map. All right, let's go ahead and check out the weather outlook out here, see what we have going on there. Severe weather across the southern plains. That's going to be just a series of events here this weekend and next week. As you can see, storm after storm hitting this area, bringing these guys some drought-busting rainfall. I'm not even joking. These guys are going to be completely out of the drought once things start to go away. But it looks like it wants to continue here even as we head into the end of next week. Potential tropical system down here into the Florida area. We're going to have to watch that because this is the latest model, and it's only a couple days out here, a few days out, showing some type of tropical system there hitting the Florida area. Now, how strong? We don't know yet. Either way, it's a tightly wound hurricane, and just have to see here. I'm going to go back one runtime here and show you guys the expected total accumulated precipitation here across the area. Oh, look at California. We've got some decent rainfall coming up here. Oh, yeah, I'll take it. But look at that. Look at all that rainfall there across Oklahoma, Missouri, Nebraska, Kansas. All these guys are getting quite a bit of rainfall. 8-9 inches it looks like. That's crazy. California is going to be jumping on the rainmaker pattern as well. These guys, look at that. It was worse here a little bit ago, a few days ago, but all that rain is starting to make a huge dent out here. And, you know, by the time midweek comes, look at that. This whole area is clearing up in terms of drought conditions. So I'm sure that is welcoming news for the area out here. California is starting to dip back into the drought, dry conditions. I'm hoping we get some further moisture out here. But we made there's going to be a huge difference out here after all these series of severe weather patterns out here. You know, that's the bad thing. You're going to have to deal with severe weather that comes along with this rainfall, but hopefully we can get that to change out here across California. Because November, it's supposed to be raining out here. It's not supposed to be 80 degrees. All right, folks, I'm out of here. Have yourself a good Saturday night. Just kind of watching things out here. We got a lot going on. Definitely a lot of broad-scale earthquake activity out here, and the best thing anyone can do is just be on guard and be prepared out here. Have some type of earthquake plan. Even out around Memphis, Nashville, Jonesboro, all these areas out here very capable of experiencing some very strong shaking from large earthquakes that can take place out here. Not saying it's going to happen tonight, may happen tomorrow, maybe another 100 years from now, but history has shown us that large earthquake activity happens. And it can happen out of the blue. 200 and something years now has passed since that series of earthquakes. All right, folks, have a good night. We'll catch you guys back out here a little bit later on tomorrow morning for the Sunday morning update. Take care.